Greetings, nerds. This is SNN Nerd. I'm your host, Sarah Belmont, and with me, as always, is our Mr. Producer Will Polk. How are you doing tonight, Will?
Doing very, very well, Sarah. It's been a good week. How about for you?
When you have a good week, I typically have a bad week, and vice versa.
Somehow we gotta get this thing synced where we're just gonna both come on and just say, "Oh yeah, it's just sunshine and roses everywhere."
Yeah, I think I'm way too pessimistic about the world to ever say that, but we'll see one day.
Yeah. So are you guys as cold in Alaska as the Midwest, or is it a heat wave compared to what part of the country's going through?
It's Juneau. It's fine. I have no idea what it's like up north in Fairbanks right now, but yeah, it's gonna get cold this weekend, which it's still in the single digits here. It's gonna be fine. And we were joking, and somebody pointed out, yeah, just think about the people in lower 48 right now with that crazy storm and weather. And we're like, yeah, I think we'll be fine. It's okay.
Well, that's good. That's good. Yeah. We were supposed to get like chance of flurries and stuff around here, I guess Tuesday night, but it amounted to nothing. But it has been a little below normal here, but nothing compared to our friends in the Midwest.
Speaking about amounting to nothing, let's talk about the DCEU.
Yes.
No, you put it on the rundown. I did not. You added a news section, and because I guess there's stuff happening. I don't really know. I don't read the news.
Well, obviously, let's start with the good news first. And all our shows were renewed today at the CW, the Television Critics Award. So the Arrowverse and Black Lightning were all renewed for new seasons each, and very, very happy. So you guys will have us for another season of Arrowverse talk. And yeah, DCEU. Let's just go there for a moment. So I guess the worst kept secret ever, Ben Affleck is officially done with Batman.
Yep.
There is this. I need to deep dive into a little more, but apparently in the summer of 2021, so we're looking at the new Matt Reeves version of Batman, which seems to be getting back to the roots of him being the original, the OG True Detective.
Right.
We have DC Super Pets, which I don't know much about. I saw this.
Please don't let this be a real thing. Please don't let this be a real thing. I'm so scared.
Yeah, that's how I was, but apparently it's something that's going to be released in, I think, mid-summer 2021, at least if everything stays on schedule. And then which it won't, exactly. They'll hit production delays and snags, just like the Flash movie has, and it'll probably get pushed back. And then last, James Gunn and Zack Snyder have resurfaced the Suicide Squad. Well, actually, Zack Snyder, I guess, is resurfacing with I guess a new zombie film. But but I did see where James Gunn was, I think, officially announced today that he is signed on to do the Suicide Squad, which sounds like it's a reboot. Looks like it's going to be a new cast, and given I never saw the first Suicide Squad, then I could go into this without any expectations or know what was originally put out there.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat by that. I'm actually, the way I view this is, why the heck are we looking at 2021 when 2020 it's really the next phase of whatever WB and DC have going for it. That's when you're going to get the Birds of Prey, which I don't care. I want to talk about Birds of Prey because that trailer is stupid. That is the worst teaser trailer I've ever seen. Did you see it?
I honestly thought it was like a fan-generated thing at first.
Yes. Please tell me a professional did not do that, because that would make a lot more sense than whatever the heck that was. I do not understand. The one silver lining that came out of it is I saw a really cool GIF on the internet that talked about they had a shot of Harley Quinn from the Suicide Squad movie, and they aligned it with a shot of her from this Birds of Prey trailer. Mm-hmm. And they talked about the feminine gaze and how there is a big difference between what a female behind the camera would deem beautiful and what a male behind the camera shooting these characters would deem beautiful. And I thought that was really interesting. But the production of this teaser is shit.
Yeah. Color me uninspired. And we've talked about this here recently with some of these trailers with the MCU about how they have underwhelmed us, and this one definitely falls into that camp with the DCEU.
I watched it and I'm like, are we supposed to take this seriously? Also, Margot Robbie, you're a talented actress, but nobody likes you enough for you to be so much the center of attention. Suicide Squad, yeah, it made money, but people don't like that movie. It's like a hate watch, and I don't know why you want to continue doing this, playing this character when she shouldn't be a hero.
No,
and
should not.
I feel like Margot Robbie wants her to be a hero, and it's like that's not how this works.
It's not.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. I don't know anymore with all of the stuff that's going on, but we'll see. We got a lot of marvelous things are coming our way that we can count on, that are reliable, high production. And meanwhile, the Russos, kings of the cinema, are now doing Deadly Class.
Yes.
Which dropped this past month and is coming out with their first 10 episodes. And I started watching Deadly Class, Will.
How'd you like it?
I like it. It's slow. It's a slow burn. You're getting that first season, a lot of exposition, a lot of setup of characters, dynamics, relationships. Laura Condor is right now setting herself up for a long career.
Yeah.
I mean, she's going to have To All the Boys I Loved Before to drop hopefully later this year. She has this show, very different characters, extremely different characters. And she pulls it off. I believe both of them. And I really like that. Marcus is a great lead. Mm-hmm. And I was watching the third episode today, and I was thinking about how much this is like Harry Potter.
Yeah. Did you like take my show notes? Because that was what I was thinking when I watched it. I've only watched the first 2 episodes, and had to admit, so we have another teen drama superhero show, or themed comic book themed based show. We've had in the last few years, we've had Cloak and Dagger, we've had Runaways. This past year, we had Titans premiere, and I really like this. And you're right, it is a slow burn. Not as maybe blasphemous to say this, but not as slow a burn with some of the Marvel Netflix shows.
Yeah. No, that is so true.
But it is like, it's like if Harry Potter and became, a true dark Harry Potter, not like the magic and stuff, but like the Harry Potter meets, I'm trying to think of an analogous movie of like Deadly Class where
Hunger Games.
There you go. That's perfect. That's what the show is. And it's all the characters so far. One of the things I liked about it, one is, you had to keep your head on a swivel in this place, because any moment you could be the next victim of being poisoned or given a laxative and I couldn't help but think of the turd burglar from American Vandal.
I did not go there. I've completely forgotten about American Vandal season 2, which says a lot, but yeah, I was gonna say something and I completely blanked on it.
Yeah, but the Marcus is, I really like Marcus, and that conflict, especially in the second episode where they do take care of when he, spoiler alert if you haven't watched it, a very pivotal event happens in the episode, and it really humanized these characters and his reaction from about what happened from that moment.
Yeah. No, the thing, to go back to your point about how you have to watch your back and head on the swivel. The bullies, I like how, and I think you get this a little bit in episode 2, you get a lot in episode 3, that the show, as much as it is the deadly arts, they also know that they're dealing with high school and youth and that feeling of loss. It's actually similar to Into the Spider-Verse and not knowing who you are and being given a gift. Only difference is these aren't superheroes. They're just being trained assassins. Yeah. Or we don't really even understand what they're being trained for. And episode 3 kind of subtly builds some of this legacy, dare I say, in history about what the school is and what its purpose really is, and how Marcus and some of the rats may be challenging the system. It could have a strong season, much like Krypton did. I think it's just gonna take a few. I need some more twists. I can only take so much of the classism and the politics.
Yeah, and that the classism and politics does remind me, in particular the classism, it reminds me of some of the themes that we saw with Cloak and Dagger last summer, and the high school trope has been well worn 1,000 times over, but I do like the way they have addressed that in, again, like you said, Harry Potter meets Hunger Games, and the Benedict Wong's character, the head of the King's Dominion. I'm blanking on the headmaster's name right now. Master.
Doesn't matter. You got his actor name correct.
Yeah.
You get 10 points.
He is. I'm really, really enjoying his just this presence. It's like, to go back to our Potter analogy, he's a very Dumbledore type presence, especially with Marcus, and helping, whenever he was, I remember there was a scene where he had all these playing cards, like with all the students' pictures on a table, and basically like, okay, out of this deck, who am I going to get to basically, do train Marcus, for lack of a better word, and it opens this door up of like suspense, like what's going to happen with Marcus, and especially when you have this backdrop of the school and all the factions that are going on, as far as any one of them to kill each other, and is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? Is he have Marcus's good intentions in store, or is he going to, Marcus has his reputation that he's coming into with this school, and it really gets you engaged early on. That I'm invested in this series. I'm definitely going to continue to watch it because it does such a good job of pulling in.
Yeah, it's it does. Now that we're talking about it, does feel like, oh, check. I've seen this before. But at the same time, there's something about it where I want to see what happens next. I don't know exactly what that is yet, but I'm still being drawn in. And this has better production value than the Birds of Prey trailer. Mm-hmm. But so does everything on TV. That's like my new thing right now, is I'm going to bring up that trailer and just be like, well, if you compare it to this, it's better.
Yeah.
No, listeners, if you haven't checked it out, please do. Hopefully, we'll have time this spring to talk about it more as it powers through the first season.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Well,
see
yeah.
what
Well,
happens next.
yeah. Well, Supergirl's going on a little short break this month, so maybe we'll be able to put it in that slot.
Yeah. Well, see, the shows are getting renewed, but they're also going away because scheduling is a bitch.
It is.
This is bad. It is. Speaking about shows being renewed, Black Lightning will get a season 3, and okay, we haven't talked about Black Lightning in a while.
We haven't.
I found it weird that it took about 2 episodes for me to be like, yes, Black Lightning is back. I feel like it took this weird, it's not an intermission, but this weird, here's what I'll say. I like how now we've started a new book, a book of secrets. And I really feel something that's bothering me with the second season is the multiple books, where I felt with season 1, there was part A and part B.
Right.
And in this season, there just seems to be chapters and chapters and all of this Khalil stuff. It would have been more powerful had I not felt like everything else going on around it kind of got put on the back burner, like everything slowed down just so you could kill off this character in a really touching way, but still just so you could kill him off. And I'm like, what? Why would we need that? And Jefferson this season, he went from it really being an interesting dynamic that they set up, removing him from the high school, having him very much disagreements with his daughters, who just he also wants to protect, and how that's being taken the wrong way as overprotection, and kind of this isolation. And I was watching these last 2 episodes, and I'm like, where's Jefferson? He's here. I see him.
Yeah.
But I still feel like he's almost being silenced while everybody has their moments. And I kind of don't like that.
You're right. And I know people complain about this with the show that we're going to talk about here shortly, where the hero is put on the sidelines. But I think, getting to your point about the different books this season, last season really was exploring Jefferson's journey as far as coming back as Black Lightning, setting up the stage for the ACA, the Pod Kids, and being a family man, introduces to Jennifer and Anissa. In particular, Anissa's journey as far as her role in becoming Thunder. This season is shifted. So Jefferson's we first had the Book of Consequences, and so all the things that happened where he, had to deal with the consequences of coming out of retirement.
Right.
The second book was the book of, it was the bridge that we dealt from the consequences of coming out of Black Lightning, and then the consequences of these Green Light kids, and some of those things that happened with the drugs and going to South Friedland, and seeing how the metas over there evolved, and it did go off into this weird place, but in doing so, it really set up. This season has been really a story about Jennifer and her evolution into Lightning, and coming to terms with being a meta. And so, obviously, with her and Khalil going on the run, it set up.
I have all of the books.
Okay.
So it began with the Book of Consequences, like you said.
Okay.
And then it shifted to the Book of Blood.
Okay.
Then it shifted to the Book of Rebellion, and now we've started the Book of Secrets.
Okay. So, yeah, so the Book of Rebellion definitely was Jennifer's arc. And now we are getting to the Book of Secrets, and so we're getting that. We're learning more about Tobias and his network and how he came about, because we had Cutter, who is his hench person, and their relationship, and Dr. Jace is back, and the Book of Secrets is also, for the longest time we were trying to figure out what was so special about that briefcase, and now that book is being opened because he has the tech guy helping him break the code. Because Tobias always knew he had a portion of the keys to get into that briefcase, but now he has, and he's discovered, in the last episode, he's discovered where the pod kids are, and he's brought Dr. Jace back to help him with whatever mission. Obviously he has, Tobias is consumed with trying to acquire more power. Right. So, so now we're getting to that Book of Secrets. It's all the things in that bookcase, all the things about the pod kids that, over this next arc, we're going to see how Tobias takes that next step of trying to, continue to build his empire, especially by having Cutter take out the pastor, and killing Khalil, who was ready to, bring down the Enterprise, but obviously Tobias shows his reach and was able to end that. So you're right. The show is getting back to its roots, and after taking a very odd course, but I like the course that it's getting back on.
I really liked that final moment with Tobias. No pun intended. It really brought it breathed a breath of life into the show, as everything with Khalil and Jennifer was winding down. And to go back to your point, I understand why this is pivotal for Jennifer. I just also question maybe why it feels like she's giving so much more story to tell, like how she figures out her powers, how she embraces that side of her. When Anissa, it didn't seem to overshadow Black Lightning. It didn't seem to take away from what her dad was going through. And I guess I wonder if with Jefferson, maybe he's still just back in the Book of Consequences. Maybe he never went through the other through books, potentially.
Potentially, because his secret's out now. Detective Henderson knows, they are obviously working together. As far as secrets, another secret was revealed in this last episode, that to Henderson at least, that Gamby is still alive. So again, all these various secrets are coming out, and and I love that. Actually, I really enjoyed that scene of Gamby and Jefferson and Henderson. In the I saw, I think the official CW Black Lightning Twitter account called it the Black Cave, which
wow.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
Why does Gamby always hang out there?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, okay, that's all right. Yeah, okay, we'll go there.
They went there.
They went there. But yeah, but it, utilizing Henderson to go to Tobias's lair and have the camera on the tie and them working together, it definitely opened up some interesting story possibilities, and really gets to Jefferson's point of not killing and working within the system to try to make things better. Which in a place like Friedland, it seems that all of the underpinnings of society are tainted from Tobias's reach.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I like the fact that they brought Chase back. I did not see that coming for some reason.
Yeah.
And I'm curious of what that does. I'm curious of how that will be brought up again, her dynamic with Lynn, because they had some really good on-screen chemistry together.
They did.
So I, in a way, that final moment when they find the babies, you're also seeing Tobias and all of his crew now, and you can connect each one of those characters with somebody on Team Jefferson. So it's kind of, it's very similar to Arrow last season when there's, in the first half, they had one crew and it was against Team Arrow, and everybody had their enemy. So we'll see what happens with Black Lightning as it continues down this book. Maybe we'll get another book. I don't know.
We'll see, because they're at episode
11, and they have 7 more for this season. And now the time Will has been waiting for all week has arrived, because we have not talked The Flash in some time, but we will be talking The Flash tonight. Season 5, back from break. Few episodes we haven't been able to talk about. Those happened, and this week memorabilia dropped.
Yes.
It dropped.
Drop the mic.
This is classic Flash.
Yes.
Like, this is the Flash I like. I like science fiction. I like when they're able to utilize the superhero elements to tell those kind of stories. Everything about perception in this, and the idea that your mind is protecting yourself. All of that was so great. I wish the acting in some of those scenes, that little girl, geez, needs a better actress to play her for me to buy her.
Well, that's actually funny. I channeled Poltergeist a little bit with her.
Yeah, she was creepy. She got really creepy and really intense. But I like a lot of this episode. There's also some big plot holes. There's some big, seriously, guys. Seriously, you didn't make that connection? What the heck? I thought these people are supposed to be smart. So yeah, overall, I think this is probably one of the strongest, if not the strongest episode of season 5.
Yeah. I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. I know a lot of, saw in the Flash bubble that I hang out in, it was very, very split. Folks were, one of our guests who we have on here sometimes, Polly, did not like it. But
well, Polly, you're not my friend.
But it definitely, it felt, like you said, like the Flash of season 1, where we had all the elements that you well articulated, made it such a memorable episode.
What you did there.
Yeah.
Can we talk about this? Because something that did bother me, Will, is how right we are watching this episode. Because we've talked about the Flash during season 5. We've picked up on things. We knew Iris, like, is holding back. They're holding back on future Iris because Candace Patton, I don't give a lot of credit to acting wise. Yeah. She delivered her best performance in this episode. The moment when Nora goes back to her and apologizes for how she treats her, and explains how I should have also thought about how Dad leaving affected you.
Yeah.
Candace's face during that scene is perfect.
Yep.
Her revelation, she doesn't say anything. It's all in her eyes. It's all in these micro expressions. But you realize in that moment, it hits her exactly what's going on and exactly what she's been trying to defend herself against. The realization that, yes, in the future, you're protecting your family, but your husband will seriously just leave you.
Yeah.
And you love that person and you love him for doing that, but that's also heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is.
And that got me.
That was a I didn't really think about that until you just brought it up, but that was a very poignant moment. I was thinking more of the what Nora was saying as far as the loss and the protection, but you're right, that moment, especially when the defense, when we really saw what the true outcome of the events, that as far as Nora's memories and Iris and their relationship, when you put those two together, you're right. Candace sold that and it was a very poignant moment of, as a parent, sometimes you don't have to say anything. It's just those looks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And she really did sell that very well in that scene, as you brought up. But there's just so much to unpack in this episode, because and to get to that, what you're raised about family and everything, and the quote that Thawne, as Nora's defense mechanism, says, "Death, failure, another broken family. This is the legacy I gave you."
Oh God.
Oh, that was just so powerful in so many ways. One, for fan service, as far as it really captured everything that season 5 has really, gotten to that legacy. And they talked about legacy. And I'm going to tie this to another quote that stood out to me when I watched the episode, is Cicada and Grace. And it was, he thinks he's taking care of me, but I am taking care of him. And when you put those two things together, it really captures what this season's about. And I know it's taken a while to get there. And I know prior to this episode, I was just like, damn it, this Cicada storyline just doesn't do anything for me. But that line, when I saw that, when Grace said that is what really got me sold. That has sold me on this season now.
Why?
Because it really gets to the core of what Cicada is. The threat is not Orlin, it's her. And the death and the failure was Barry, and with getting back to season 4, as far as creating these new metas, because if they had done different things in certain places, they could have possibly not created this new meta threat with the satellite and the metatech. And so Gracie lost her parents due to metas. She gets her powers due to the satellite. And I realize now that she's actually the one that's obviously it's clear now she's controlling Orlin. And it was her moments in the episode where she's talking about, I hear everything, when she was talking to Nora, when he had the conversations, Orlin and the doctor, and the nurse, she obviously lost people to the metas. And so, so you're dealing with, and I bring this back, you're dealing with one broken family, that being Cicada's family and Grace's family. And then with Barry, the brokenness is him disappearing. And when we were first introduced to Nora, it was that broken family, and Iris thinking about how there's that chill in their relationship and stuff. And this episode really breaks through that, and it helps Iris realize that I know a lot of the Snowberry people will just go batshit crazy about this, but the core, but is this true to Barry and Iris's relationship in the comic books? It carried it forward into the show. Iris and Barry are a unit. And so that moment that you talked about earlier, and her showing, her Candace's look as Iris to Nora, as far as Barry's losing Barry, really shows that she is the core. And yes, the family was broken, but they're going to get back together.
Well, you don't know.
That's some maybe possibly.
Like that's the interesting thing about this. As much as yes, now Central City Citizen, the founding year has changed. Yes,
Yes.
small tweaks. A part of me really does want to see this series end with that ultimate sacrifice.
I do too.
Because honestly, I don't know how else you would end it.
You have to do it. You have to end it that way.
It's storytelling. I mean, we talk about stakes just season by season, but really to have part of the reason why a lot of shows, looking back on them, you think, oh, it was good up until its last season. Mm-hmm. And I believe that's because the writers at that point are not willing to make those choices, even though there won't be another season. They don't want to end it in a way that that is hard. Like, you want to take the easy way out.
Yeah.
And so I don't know how we go through so many seasons with this show, always thinking about that headline, always thinking about, well, what, and this is something that the writers still haven't even addressed. Barry's recognition that he's going to make a choice and how he feels about that. He's so far been so focused on Iris and her choices, and protecting her and making her feel like, no, you will find a better way. You will not become that version of Nora's mom. You will be better than that version. Well, what about Barry? Why isn't he questioning, why would I give this all up?
Right. And and they did touch on that a little bit earlier in the season, but you're right, they haven't followed up on that point.
Yeah, and I like how this episode touched on all those issues. To your point, yeah, the parallel journeys between Nora and it's Gracie, right? The little girl. Yeah. That was really done well. I didn't mind the breaks. Going from all of this intensity in Dreamland to Cisco and Ralph at the bar and them just being normal dudes.
Yeah.
That's fine. You can't have an ultra. You can't have too heavy. I mean, we're not even at past episode 15. But hopefully we're gonna get there. We're gonna stay on track with all of these choices that are currently going on, because I like it. I like those questions about morality and choice and perspective and debating and what control and we really have of who we become.
Right. And the choices that were made, because I think that's the other side element. I know from the prior episode with discovering the meta cure. The choices, that the philosophical choice, and I know a lot of people were like, whoa, that came out of left field as far as Cisco's reaction, but I had the opposite view. I thought that was a very, yes, it was out of left field. I will concede that point, but I thought story-wise it made sense given where Cisco has come from, and it was a chance that the writers decided to take. And to me, I felt vindicated this week by him finding the cure, working these late hours and stuff, and getting to that philosophical question of the choice and that moral question of giving people the choice to do it. Because now Barry, you're going to have that, the best thing that creates tension in a story and makes it interesting is, when you have these moral quandaries, and the show has kind of glossed over them sometimes, like, for example, the secret prison that they've had in Star Labs for years. And now with this question of, okay, we are going to, they turn the things around. Usually they're always trying to like solve in the big bad, but this time we're actually going to help the big bad in thinking, utilizing Orlin by giving them this meta cure to basically hopefully stop this killing spree.
Well, and it depends on if you still think that Cicada is really the big bad.
Well, I don't think Grace is the big bad. It's not Skada. It's not Orlin. It's Grace. Yeah. And so I guess my point in saying that is the question. How did they convince him, or did they force him to take the cure? And so it'll be interesting, especially given Caitlin, where she has finally made peace with her duality as far as Killer Frost. Cisco questioning it, but I think ultimately he's okay with being Bob. He had that philosophical moment where he was just like, I'm not sure about this anymore. There's got to be more to life than just chasing metas. But at the end of the day, he came back to the reality that, yes, this is my destiny. Ralph is the wild card. He's there for the comic relief, but also I liked the buddy moments because, again, like you said, there needed to be some lightness, and this was lightness in the way the Flash does it, like the ice skating at the very beginning of the episode. It just set the right tone. It's the fun and the lightness that was natural that we saw in the first season that was forced in season 4. This was a natural. It just looked like the joy. It just seemed like the cast just had just fun filming that scene, and it came across as you're watching the episode. And that was another thing I think I just, from that point of the episode forward, I just had a good feeling because it was that lightness. But then when it did go to the dark, it was like, oh yeah, this is the good way that they do it, and how they with the production, with the different shading, and with the light, in Grace's mind versus in Nora's mind, I mean, all those little touches, and of course all the Easter eggs that they had, like the Red Death, and it's sort of a backdoor, again, acknowledgement to Elseworlds and Batman, and will he be the big bad next season, or will they just, a lot of times what we've seen with the show, they take elements from the comics and just make it their own, like Cicada.
Right. So we established lightness in the beginning, good emotional punch in the middle, a lot of ties, a lot of things we've been expecting to get hinted at. They dug a little bit deeper, and then at the end, they did one of the biggest time, the time I've had to suspend my disbelief the most is the moment when Sherlock and Barry are talking. Everybody else is gone, and Sherlock is like, so what was Nora's defense mechanism?
Yes.
The reverse flash, and then walks away. What the heck? Barry is smart. Like, we're supposed to believe that Barry is very, not just like everyday smart, extremely smart. Felicity Smoke level smart, Cisco level smart, Harrison Wells level smart, and he isn't questioning, well, I don't know, maybe that means something.
It's a dad. He's being a dad. He's just trying to be.
A part of me wants to cut him a break, but a part of me is also kind of like, really? You're suspicious of everybody. Like, I really miss the Barry who was giving Jay a hard time back in season 2 when he's like, hey, I'm from Earth 2. I'm completely normal. Oh, wait, I'm a psychopath.
Yeah.
Where's that guy? Okay.
Where's that Barry?
He called it. Okay. There. And I think what's more annoying to me is that the show, they should just retitle it and call it Kavanaugh. because the thinking back about all of the different versions of Wells we've had, they're always the hero at the end of the season. They always are the ones who really do that master trick to maybe not take down the big bads, but definitely set up Team Flash too. Mm-hmm. And I don't know who he paid to get that job. But why do we call it the Flash when it's just going to be a Wells who saves the day?
Yeah, that's a good point. And And this was the first the last couple episodes Sherlock has not annoyed me. He actually has, he's gone from comic relief to actually being a very integral part of the story, what you just said. And
which happens every season with the Wells character.
It does. Yeah. They should. You're totally right. You should talk to Greg Berlanti and Todd Helpring and just say just call it the Wells. Season 6 should just be the Wells featuring the Flash.
And when is that well gonna dry? Are you gonna keep going back to that well? Okay, there's still water in it. Got it.
I see what you did there.
You're welcome. Oh man, it's just I have to call it out because it's now that I see it, I'm never going to be able to unsee it.
Yeah.
So we'll see if this will survive. Granted, we're just going to have another version next year.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be King Shark Wells. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I just. And it's just to be clear, because I know last time we talked about Flash, I think I gave Kavanaugh a bit of. I was a bit harsh because I thought his acting in the future was really bad, and I still stand by that. And these past few episodes, I like Sherlock looking into Nora. He's asking the right questions. I just don't know why it's him asking the right questions. Cisco is also a great person. Why can't he carry that kind of like, who are you? What is this? What is all these like Ralph? They have a moment where they realize that Ralph and Sherlock, because they're both private eyes, they have a similar deductive reasoning. Yeah.
Well, I think they do have that deductive reasoning power. I think with Ralph, given that he's still the new guy to the family, and I don't think it would, given his relationship with the rest of Team Flash, I don't know if he would be taken seriously enough if he were the one questioning it. But I mean, I guess they tend to make light of Sherlock as well. Cisco's like Barry's. I mean, but you're right though. Cisco could be the one that could be the one that could kind of push to be that, person on the angel on the shoulder to say, Barry, think back to Thawne, think back to Zolomon. We shouldn't just be taking people on face value here, even if they are quote unquote, even if they are family.
Yeah. It's. You're just waiting for that reveal and knowing. I wonder if something that's going to happen is what happened with season 2, where they went over target. They stretched out that turning point too long, and the viewers can only wait so long to get hit, and you kind of want it to go hand in hand. Timing is everything.
It is everything, because I remember back to season 3 too, where we called Savitar very early, and they just kept dragging it out. So by the time they did do the reveal, it had lost its emotional punch.
Yep. Yeah, and I wonder, because I mean, we've called a lot of the emotional beats even in this episode back last year, and now we're getting them, and I'm like, I like not only that we are, but how we got them. Mm-hmm. I strongly appreciate that. I just hope that they don't overreach or over aim.
Yeah, I think we'll see. I mean, I mean, given now the weight that they have, the twist that they've done with Grace, and showing that she is the person behind Cicada, I think it timing wise, it was good where they revealed this. It was the right point, and now I'm just hoping that they don't find like weak plot points to try to drag Orland's story as forward, because and drag that piece out.
The less screen time for Chris Klein, the better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely. But like
so
I said,
bad.
but to at least now, I can't say that. There's still Cicada still as whenever he's in Chris Klein's version, still weak, but this grace and just that those intense scenes and the way now she knows who Nora is and how they're going to channel that forward as far as Nora, liar, and she and Nora is also now looking over her even more so looking over her shoulder as far as being revealed, working with Thawne. Those two things, I'm hoping over the next month before they take their probably March break, we really get some. I think we'll get that reveal of Nora working with Thawne probably before the next break.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I pray you're right. And we'll see. Usually you are about the Flash and all Arrowverse shows.
I haven't theory spiral much this season, so I'm getting back into my groove. This episode got me back in my Flash groove.
Yeah, well, who would want to theory spiral about Cicada? He's so boring.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The only theory spirals is, how did he get this job?
Yeah,
Why did they cast him?
Right. There's one last thing, and I know a lot of people were I don't know how this will sync up, but the timing as far as in the Flash Museum, he disappears obviously after this season and doesn't reappear until 2024. So obviously there's a lot of things that are changing in timelines and stuff. So will the actions of setting up Central City News, not News, that's their old paper, Citizen, and the subtle changes that are happening, I can't help but think back to Elseworlds and Crisis. I think things are going to get accelerated. But to your point, I hope they don't accelerate things to the point where he disappears and then we have him reappear too soon. And the other thing is, some people are convinced that the older version of Cicada in 2024 is Gracie. And I'm like, well, timing wise, that doesn't sync up. But this is the Flash, and there are crazy time tweaks and stuff. So maybe Nora and Thawne's interference will accelerate that, and the older version of Cicada comes back in 2024 when after Barry disappears as a consequence of his disappearance. I don't know, but those are just things to toss out there.
This is why you stopped theory spiraling. That was a lot of nerdy talk. More nerdy for me. What? And they're speeding up? They're slowing down? I don't. Yeah, what is Will talking about?
Yeah, I will cut that all out.
No, it did get me thinking about how maybe part of the reason why Nora is working with Eobard Thawne is because if we look back at season one, he accelerated everything in this timeline that we were on with the events, and the accelerator happened earlier. Everything is moving at a much, pun intended, faster pace. And considering he did that, and yet the fact that Barry Allen still occurs, it's kind of like, well, how can you change all of this and this event stays the same? And maybe that's what it's all about. They have some good things to explore coming off of this episode.
They do. And
hopefully they don't stick exploring with the bad things and the boring things that they did during the first half of the season, and that they continue forward, because this is fifth season. Fifth seasons are supposed to be good. I don't know why, but they just are. They have this moment about them, and
they do.
I really hope we get our major fast forward episode with Nora and Eobard in the future, exploration of that. I I'm fine with the amount they've given me about Nora and Iris. I want that more of that stuff from Barry and realization of what he's doing, and also and kind of second guessing his own choices or his potential choices, and why it does feel like Eobard is always pulling the strings in his life and what that means. I think all of those are really good to explore, and just keep Cicada in the background.
Yeah, just keep him there.
I give up on that. But yeah, it's gonna be. We'll see if they go back to the well.
Wells.
All right. Well, I think that's it for us tonight.
Yes.
Will, why don't you tell our listeners where they can find you?
Yes, you can find me and send me tweets about your theories at Will M. Polk at WILLMPOLK.
I think you should just cut your random theory spiral and place it at the end of the episode so our listeners can listen to us talk about where they can find me at SJ Belmont, SJBELMONT, and our crew on Twitter at CNN Nerd. Friend us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, but most importantly, rate, subscribe, and comment on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Spotify. We also have a YouTube channel. Good night, geek out. You're welcome.